All right, everybody. I guess the stream is on. A little bit of technical difficulties. It's a couple of minutes to get on. Hopefully, everything will work well from this point on. Let's get that sound going down. All right, everybody. So here we are back again. Week 4 or 5. What week is this? Let's see. Thomas, are you there? Let's see if we can get Thomas on the line.
Hey, what's going on, Abe?
All right. Hey, you're pretty loud
You
there.
got? Sorry, I'll turn that down a bit.
How are things today, Thomas?
Things are going well. It's been a busy week for 343 and everything that we got going on, but continuing on with our 343 TV streaming, which is exciting.
Right. We're back again for our Friday show, Bitwig Basics. Let's see if we can get. Oh, there we are. Thomas is there, but I'm not there with him. Let me see if I can fix this on the fly. Again, some problems here. Here's Thomas and me, and a mystery person in the middle, which I can't get going. But that's the look for today, I guess. Let's see if I could just get Thomas alone. Just talk to Thomas. Thomas, tell us a little bit about what we got going on today.
So today we are back for another installment of Bitwig Basics. I think Abe has a couple things up his sleeves for this episode, covering some topics that we didn't dive too deep into previously, which should be really exciting, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. Otherwise, I did want to mention that we are, as you can see now, continuing the 343 streaming series for the time being. We are going to continue streaming every day at 1 p.m. It's looking like we might take some time off this weekend because of the holiday here in America. But other than that, we're going to be running streams every day at 1 p.m. And there's going to be new shows actually coming next week. Can't announce anything too specific about that, but that's going to be really exciting.
Right. Things are switching up a bit,
look
no?
Up for those. Yes, I think Abe's show is going to be switching up. A couple of the other shows are going to be switching topics, and you might see a couple other presenters, in the mix. So it's really exciting stuff, and we just want to say thank you to everybody out there who's been tuning in and everybody who participated in our first run of the series. And, we really appreciate the support, so please continue to do so.
Right on. Okay, so let's get right into it. Once again, we are doing the Bitwig Basic Show this week. Things might switch up next week. We still don't know. We are here every day at 1 p.m. And what are we doing for this weekend? Are we running just reruns, or what's happening? We're just doing nothing.
I think it looks like there'll be reruns on Sunday. For Saturday, I think we might be taking the day off, as I'm sure many other places are doing the same with the holiday. But you can always tune in and check out the reruns of all the shows on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and then stay updated with us on our social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, in terms of what's on for the day and what's kind of coming up for the week.
Right. So tell us a little bit about what 343 is altogether, Thomas. I'll let you take the...
All right. So for those of you who don't know, beyond the YouTube content and the streaming series, we are a music production school originally based in Manhattan, and we're also doing a bunch of online courses, which we're actually doing a sale for right now, our summer sale, which you can save big money on our courses as well as our course bundles. So that would be, any of our 12-session courses, our summer immersive courses, and those EMP course bundles, which are really a great way to kind of deep dive into music production this summer. We are opening our location in Berlin. We just had our first open houses there this week. Great attendance, a lot of interest out there. So that's some really exciting stuff for the school. Be sure to kind of stay updated on that, especially if you're based in Europe. Our website for that school is just 343labs.de. But like I said, we're a school. We have a bunch of expert instructors like Abe, many other people who are, just as experienced or, have different kind of expertise in the industry, and they're all kind of available to teach you whatever topic, under the music production umbrella you're interested in learning. So for full details, on those courses and the sales, just head over to 343labs.com, and you can kind of check out everything we've got going there. Of course, outside of the classes, we're also doing a bunch of events, which are all, being held online right now, but I'm sure as things kind of start to open back up, there's going to be plenty to do, in-person locations too. So we encourage you all to check out our website and kind of get a feel for the educational side of 343. And, thanks again for tuning in today for the show.
All right. Checking in the chat, we have a few people. Max is here, of course, as always. CJ, and let's see. There's somebody. Is it? Oh, do I love it? Can't wait. I don't know who that is. It's just. I don't know if it's. Oh,
I
do
like that username quite a bit.
Is it? Is it? Oh, do I love it? Question.
That's what I'm getting here. I'm loving that username, and it seems like they're pretty hyped up for the new shows coming soon.
Right, and Andrew Duque is there once again, a stalwart, I guess, in the industry. Been knowing about all the things he's been doing for ages, and kind of honored and nervous to have him in here all the time. Okay, so let's see if we can switch over. I still have a little bit of trouble with my camera situation, but let's see if I can get Bitwig going. At least I have Bitwig going, but no cam of me. But that's okay. I guess at the moment we could just look at Bitwig, and I wanted to do a little something different today with Bitwig. I wanted to expand somewhere where we haven't before, and basically all I have right now is, well, I have two projects, and like I told you guys at once before, we have the possibility of opening more than one project at a time in Bitwig, and this is the one that I usually use. That was the one from last week, all the work we did last week, and this is where I usually have the opening track happening. And then we have a second project, well, which is known as, well, shows up as project number 1 on here. And I'm having a little trouble with my mouse. Wow. Is Mercury in retrograde or something, Thomas?
I'm not sure, but it looks like we got Bitwig looking good here on my end, so we should hopefully be in pretty good shape.
It's looking good, but my mouse is not looking at all. My mouse is just stuck in the middle of the screen. So
yeah, I do see that now.
That is a little bit of a bummer that I can't get that going. Let's see. Maybe we could talk to the chat a little bit. Anything in the chat happening in the meantime? Oh, Thomas.
Yeah, we actually do have some more people in here. We got Jay Francisco, who is somebody I've actually met, and he's saying hi to me. We've got Tim Duty, who hopped in, saying what up, Abe, and other good peeps. Always good to see some familiar usernames in the chat. So we do have some good activity going on. Keep coming back, everybody, and please bring your friends to tune into these shows. Especially for Bitwig. There's only I think a finite amount of people that know about it. But if you have any Bitwig friends, bring them along. Tell them to jump in.
Tim Duty he's an amazing guy. He's gotten into modular in the last year, and he's in a race with me at this point. When it comes to the modular stuff, he's an amazing songwriter as well. All right, let me. I got my mouse moving now. Finally, let me switch over now. I can go here to that project, which has nothing but a kick drum in it. And the way that you get things going in Bitwig is that you have to activate the engine for the project that you want to use. So now that engine is going to work, and that kick drum is going to do its thing. Now, the kick drum is coming out of this mixer that I have here, because today all that I really want to do, maybe to begin with, is just have a kick drum out of Bitwig, just to get some sort of bearing as to our little project that we're going to do. And we're going to work with pretty much this, which is a little overhead. So let's switch to my overhead here. We're going to work with this setup here, which is my little little rack that I prepared. And today we're going to be dealing with having Bitwig work with modular together. One of the things that Bitwig made sure to do was to have modular devices compatible with their workflow by adding some devices in Bitwig that facilitate that, and that would be the control voltage, CV, and devices of that sort. So I'm just gonna go to my camera software here. I want to get a view where I could see Bitwig and my overhead at the same time, so that I have there the view that I want. So let's get this guy going. So as you see right now, I have this this modular setup with just basically the audio. This first, let's talk about this guy here. This guy here is Expert Sleeper's ES8. The Expert Sleeper's ES8 is a audio device. It's a sound card, or you may call it, or interface, audio interface, and it has 8 outputs and 4 inputs, which all are DC coupled. Now, DC coupling is necessary when you want to do this this CV control out of your computer into a rack. But that's taken care of by this guy. There's actually a Bitwig edition of this Expert Sleeper's ES8, but there's actually nothing different than the original. It is only one that says Bitwig on here somewhere, and it has a little bit of different design on there. But okay, we have this plugged into our computer, and that's actually where I'm getting the sound from the computer. So computer sound is coming out of channels 1 and 2, and we have 6 other channels ready for us to play with. And we have a little mixer here, which we're going to mix some of the sound in here. So let's talk about how we work with modular. So in modular, we got to put together our synthesizer. And our synthesizer starts with an oscillator. This guy here is our oscillator for the day. We have this black Vari-Shape VCO. And we're going to go out that one into one of these channels. And let me just lower that. And as you notice, I get a sound, and that's already the beginning of making a sound with a modular. And now I can change the frequency, play with the sound here. There's a sub oscillator here that I can play with, cross modulation that I can get going on in here. But it's not connected to the computer or working with the computer yet, as so to speak. So what I want to do is make that happen. How we can make that happen? Well, let me get my face in there. We can, first of all, lower the volume here. We need to make it work with Bitwig. Now, Bitwig, let's get some of these devices that I was talking to you about in here. Just one specific device called the, where is it? It's a hardware CV instrument, and this one is going to let me get things going with this setup here. So I'm going to go back and see what are we looking at? We're still looking at the rack here, and I want to show you the rack with the hardware instrument in there. So let's see if I do this, if it works. Yeah. So you can see now the instrument that I'm talking about. And it's basically a way to interface with this guy here. So how can we do that? Well, we need some more cables. So we got some more cables here available. I'm just going to grab some more. And we're going to have to take a plug from channel 3, where we're going to send a control voltage. And control voltage is going to be a voltage from, I don't know the range between, there's a 5-volt range sometimes they use a 10-volt range. But basically, it's going to come out of that output, and it's going to feed it into this 1 volt per octave input here, which is going to let me now control the actual pitch of the whole thing. So if I have this going, I should be able to, let's get that sound, change the pitch via, see, the pitch is taking on a new pitch, depending on what I have going on into this guy here. So let me get, but it's not happening yet because I have to get the pitch out and give it a channel. So let's go to the first one, mono out, and let's, so as I'm playing the keyboard now, the pitch is being transmitted via this output here into the 1 volt per octave input, and things are starting to roll here. Now it's a constant pitch, and I want the pitch to actually change to like trigger a gate every time. And a gate meaning actually I want to send the gate to a device called a envelope generator, and I have this radar here which has some envelope generating powers, and I'm going to send, oh, I need a longer cable. I'm going to send an output from 4 into the radar here, which is going to trigger an envelope, which now I'm going to send to my mixer here. And once I plug this in, the sound's going to go away, or should go away. Sound went away, and it only opened when I hit a note. But I got to tell it, the gate output, to have an output, so I'm going to give that to output 2. So if we configure this correctly, playing my keyboard will now get going a nice sort of synth sort of action now, and I can control here the decay, make it shorter, longer, and if I play a kick drum, I got a attack here, and decay, which is what you need to make a synth circuit. All right, so that was quite a lot of an accomplishment. I hope that's all kind of streaming correctly to you guys, and you guys are starting to get this. Let's see, do we have anything in the chat? Any questions or anything mentioned now in the chat, Thomas?
We got a couple people commenting on that rack. Tim Duty saying he's digging that rack. I did have a question myself, Abe, about this setup that you have going on here.
Yeah.
So I know that you do have the hardware kind of module setup going on, and then this is integrating into Bitwig one way or another. Is that correct?
Right. So Bitwig is integrated via this audio interface, which is sending out, first of all, the left and right out of the computer with these first two, and then the next two I've routed to send to the input on the voltage for the pitch, so that I can change pitches, and the second one, or the last one here, is sent to this envelope generator, so I can create an envelope so that I can play notes and make them open up and shorten up, longer.
So would
shorter.
you say that that it's being sequenced? This hardware is being sequenced by Bitwig?
Well, now I can begin to do that. I can begin to sequence it as we speak. Let's actually do that. Let's grab a device. Let's grab an arpeggiator and drop that in there and get that to play. Now the problem with this is that the gates are a little too long, so I'm going to lower the gates on all these guys so that, let's get the gates shorter, so that, because if you have them too long, they doesn't know when to stop. But now I got this situation where this guy is being and if I play that together with the kick drum, we could start to have a lot of fun here. What do you think of that, Thomas?
It sounded pretty cool, man. It really is. So is the Bitwig kind of working as the master in terms of the tempo right now, and everything else is kind of slaving to that?
Right. So the rack in itself is kind of a, just waiting for control.
Hmm.
What you need for a modular system is control.
Yep.
And the control is being sent to the modular system from the computer now, which is, in other situations you'd have like some sequencers or some other type of clock generators that you can get going to get the control happening inside of the rack. But now we're directly linked to the computer, meaning the computer can do all the things that you do with the computer. You could do all your note writing. And now this is a smaller rack. I only have one oscillator here, but if you see behind me, there are a bunch of other oscillators and things in there where I can take those, connect them to the computer directly, and via this audio interface, I can pretty much do all my sequencing inside of the computer. And since I have it matched up so that this expert sleepers is also taking the output from the computer itself, so Bitwig, all the other stuff happening in Bitwig is going to come out of these two outputs here, which means now that it comes out of this mixer and everything gets kind of put together and controlled inside this mixer, which I can go then and re-record a mix down of once we get that going. So it's a perfect integration with the computer and the modular, and the
Yeah, it's
computer.
like a truly hybrid setup that you have going on.
Yeah, and the way that Bitwig has it set up, and we'll after the break, I'm gonna show some other things as to how we can get this going. But Bitwig have set up some pretty smart things in order to get us really integrated together with the computer and the modular.
Interesting. Do you need one quick question before you dive into it again? Do you need a specific type of audio interface to kind of run a setup like
Yeah,
this, or do you need any sort of
that's
amount of inputs or anything
okay.
specific?
That's an amazing question. You need a DC coupled interface. It's a different setup in the way that it treats the output. It's coupled to DC output, meaning that it actually outputs direct current in the way that it needs to be outputted so that the devices can recognize it. So all these devices, they work on this CV, control voltage system, meaning that it receives a certain current. So if I send 1 volt to say, let's say just 1 volt, let's pretend, just take a easy number, to this oscillator to control the pitch, you're going to get a certain tone. But since it's a 1 volt per octave sort of input, if I send it something that's 2 volts, it's going to give me the octave above. But if I give it any voltage in between the 1 and 2 volts, it's going to give me all the different pitches in there. And if I go 3 volts, it's going to be the octave above that. So every volt is 1 octave. So that way now my computer or whatever device is sending control voltage just needs to send out the right voltage to control the way that parameter is going to appear. So in this case, it's pitch, but in other cases, it could be other things like, well, anything really. And that's the thing, is you control volume, you control the envelope generator well, the envelope generator is the other part. It's just a gate, it's just a pulse it's like a trigger to make things happen. So, and that's the only two things that are happening in modular. It's the control voltage, which is telling the parameter to be where it's going to be. As far as how high the voltage is, that's how high the parameter is. Imagine that we tie volume control to control voltage. If it's at the highest voltage, the volume is at the highest point. If it's at the lowest voltage, the volume is at the lowest point. So we marry these values to the control voltage. And with a DC coupled interface, we can do that. Not all interfaces are DC coupled, but there are a number of them that are. You just have to make sure that the interface that you pick is that. The Expert Sleepers one was made directly for that, so that will handle all audio out of your any one of these outputs. So I could have left and right coming out of my computer, and then the rest of them can just be whatever. When it comes to CV or gate, which is just a pulse. It's a trigger to trigger the envelope generator. Did you get that,
Cool.
Thomas?
Yeah, no, I think that's something that's really interesting to cover, and I think maybe might be worth diving deeper into some upcoming shows. just those kind of two fundamental concepts of modular, because I definitely have heard people discuss them, you included a bunch of times, but the more you kind of get it explained to you, especially with somebody who's as experienced with it as you are, it starts to kind of click. And I think that it can take a couple explanations for the average kind of producer to kind of get their head around it.
Right. And I mean, after you get those two things, well, just the idea of CV and the gate uh, in your head, it's pretty much downhill from there, because once you understand that it's just you're controlling things with those two types of controls, which is a voltage or a pulse. And a pulse you could use for like triggering a drum sound or triggering an envelope. And CV you can use to control any value and anything else. Right now, once again, we have one CV output controlling the voltage, so it gives us the different notes. And the second one is giving us the gates, and you can see it blinking here. I don't know if you could see the blinking light, but that's giving us the gate, telling this envelope generator to start its way through an envelope. And then this is the decay, and this is the attack. Cool thing is now I can do glide with this. Very easily do glide. And change my pitch. Okay, so I think we're about halfway point. Maybe we want to bring you back, Thomas, and have you talk a little bit about what we got coming up and all the things that we need to talk about when it comes to 343.
Cool, that sounds really good, man. It looks like we did get a couple more people tuning in, and a question which we'll return to when I'm throwing things back your way. But as we we're discussing at the beginning of the stream, we're here on 343 TV, which is a live stream series that is about a little over a month old now and is presented by 343 Labs, which is a music school based in Manhattan, online, and now opening in Berlin. So basically, beyond this educational streaming we're doing here, we are also doing a bunch of classes, both online and in person. For those of you who might be interested in a class with somebody like Abe or some of our other, super accomplished producers and instructors, you can head over to 343labs.com and see details on that. We actually are running a summer sale for this week only, and that's going to be ending on Sunday. So there's only a couple of days left to take advantage of that, but you can save 20% on all of our 12-session courses, 10% on our big course bundles, as well as our summer immersive courses, which is going to be a really cool program for anybody who's really looking to dive deep into music production this summer. I believe Abe actually is going to be teaching some of those, so that's definitely something to check out if you're interested in learning some Ableton with Abe. But otherwise, yeah, we just encourage you guys to keep tuning in, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. For those of you who are new to the YouTube channel specifically, I'd encourage you to also go back and watch some of our tutorials. We have a whole collection of stuff from Abe, doing Bitwig and a couple different other topics, to all of our instructors, covering everything under the sun when it comes to music production. So those are always good to kind of go back and catch up on. Otherwise, I would just say if you're interested in classes, now is the time to sign up. We're discounting them heavily for the next couple of days. And after that, we probably won't be doing anything like that for at least the entire summer. So if you've been thinking about it, or if you're brand new, there's not a better time to sign up and start learning. We've got classes starting next week and, over the next couple of weeks in basically every topic. We've got mixing, mastering with Abe. We've got sound design and synthesis with John Selway, Ableton beginner, Ableton intermediate, Logic beginner, Logic intermediate. Probably leaving a couple things out here, songwriting. But we got a bunch of things to offer for you guys. Especially those of you who have been kind of tuning into these streams and are really engaging with the brands. We love to see those types of people kind of convert over and get the real educational experience with us as a student. not to say that we don't just love you guys tuning into these streams here, but it's always good to kind of connect with you guys in a more personalized experience in the classroom as well.
All right. Is that it? Because you kind of paused. I don't know if you were just taking
Yeah,
a
no,
deep
I got to
breath.
catch my breath a bit, but I was just also looking into the chat, and we did have a question from Tim. I'm not sure if you caught it, but he
Yeah,
was
Tim.
asking, it seems
Yeah,
like what is a pretty specific Bitwig question.
right. He wanted to know how to glide between notes. It's a little bit of an advanced thing, but we can talk about it a little bit. Let's get back in there real quick. The let's see. I want the Bitwig and the overhead. So in the meantime, while you were talking, and by the way, if you really like or a little bit want to do us a favor, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to us, especially Max. Max is trying to get to 100,000 subscribers as fast as we can. So please just help us out and hit that subscribe button. And in the very least, what you can do is share this with a friend. Just send them the video and maybe share the content that we're putting out there so that everybody gets the word out. Anyway, so here we are. I drew in a couple of notes in here in this clip, and it's kind of on the low side of things, meaning I should transpose this up. So let's get these up. So they're a little bit higher now. And let's get the pitch. Now, I haven't tuned this oscillator. I should tune it. And there's a way to auto-tune the oscillator from here. But Tim, quickly, just want to show you what you want it was, which I think is here, where you can get different things like glide and such. There's all sorts of things that we can have here. And I had glide before, so glide can happen here. And now I can take points and take glide from one note all together. And it's hard to hear it in this arpeggiation, but that's where you get individual pitch and gliding happening on different notes. So it does really amazing things. It's really set up already for what we call MPE, which controllers like the Roly, Seaboard Roly can take advantage of, because you can do, every note can do individual expressions. All right, so I have this this going on, and let's play that with the kick. And once again, we had this with a little bit of glide already. And it looks like I recorded some automation, so I'm going to delete the automation. I don't know how that got recorded in there. Just get a little bit of that. And again, we can open up the decay or shorten it. But now let's get it a little more interesting. Let's actually create a situation where we have a filter in the mix. So for a filter situation, we'll have to bypass the sound of the that's going into the input here on this guy here, which is this output from this oscillator going into the input of this channel. So I'm going to take this output and go into the input of this filter. I have a little filter bank here with like 3 little small filters. And I'm going to go to the out from there back to where we were. So we just kind of inserted that filter into that circuit. So now the filter is going to be able to do its thing. So as you can hear, I have filter control of the tone with resonance, which is a lot of fun. Wouldn't it be great if I could get that working in there? Well, I can. I'll show you how. I'm gonna set up another CV action. So I'm gonna add, and if I look in here, I have a list of things that I can add. I'm gonna Bitwig, and I'm just gonna get a hardware CV out, not a CV instrument, just a hardware CV out in there. And this will just augment and send another CV. Oh, I forgot to hit OK on that. So let's just go hardware CV out. And now I have a CV that I can a signal that I can output to anything I want. So I'm going to set that to output number 3, I believe would be the one that I'm using now. And that would be this one. The correspond would actually output 5. It's a little bit weird, the numbering, because I had to use 2 of them for the output of the actual out left and right from Bitwig, so the numbering kind of shifted. So I'm going to send the output of that into the CV control of the filter. And the CV control of the filter will allow me to control the opening and closing of the filter by control voltage. So if I plug that in there and we get lucky, I can have some action going. So I'll have to feed that, and then I'll have to move this. See, if I move now my Bitwig, I could get that filter to open and close, which is great, because now I could add a modulator in here. Let's grab one of these modulators. A simple LFO will do the trick. Let's get that LFO to work in sync, and let's tie that LFO to this action here. So let's actually move it. There we go. So now the LFO is moving the control voltage over here. So if I close off the amount of control voltage, which is this is the control, the volume for the amount of control voltage, I could make it stop, but then I put it back in. Add a little resonance to that. And that gives that sound some movement, and it starts to feel alive. And this is what's great about modular, that you get this kind of really interesting movement in the sound. So let's change the on here we could change the speed. And we could do that in musical notes. We could do it like, hey, just give me eighth notes. I could change the actual type of waveform. I could skew the waveform one side or the other. That's pretty cool. And we're starting to get some really cool sound. Thomas, are you there?
I'm here.
What do you think?
How we doing?
How are we doing?
We're doing good. It's sounding cool, man. And I like to see, there's so much going on both inside the software now and also in the physical kind of realm. And it's just really interesting to see that going on the stream.
Yeah, it's amazing that this type of integration is like that close, that much of a reality now. It's not even close. It's a reality because a lot of times people have wanted to like make this happen, and there are a lot of products out there that'll get that happening, I guess. But this is a rather instant gratification, if you will. So
Does it make a big difference for you to be able to really dive in there and get your hands on the equipment? Is there certain parameters within the software you wish you could kind of have physically, or what's the draw to the hybrid setup, would you say?
When you start to play with this, I mean, you realize that you have the best of both worlds going on, because the computer gives you all these amazing possibilities, and maybe even beyond the possibilities that you're going to be able to get with the modular. And not only that, but it allows you to categorize these possibilities and use them and save them and store them and use them really as leverage, because it really lets you be precise with how you use these possibilities. And that's what I mean with the computer. But the modular gives you something the computer doesn't, which is hands-on. And there's something about hands-on that is priceless, completely priceless.
Mhm.
You can't imagine how little we get done via a mouse. A mouse is not the throughput there, the bandwidth is not high enough between our brains and what we're transmitting through just a mouse. A mouse it's kind of sad how little we can get done. But when we have two hands, when we work with two hands, and I know that I used to make fun of Tim always for just using one hand when he played with modular gear, because we have two, and to be able to turn two things at one time give you just explodes with the possibilities of exponentially of what could be happening. And then the happy accidents or the places that you arrive end up being so much better or just newer than you would if you had one thing to turn at a time with a mouse, which is such little throughput. So now we have really the best of both worlds going on, which is amazing.
Definitely.
Amazing to
I
me.
can definitely resonate with that. I'm a fan of using hardware, more recently myself for things like sound design and even, stuff like sequencing drums. And it was so surprising to me what kind of, different results basically you could get from kind of taking the hardware route. You kind of like to think to yourself, oh, I can make all the same stuff happen with my mouse and my keyboard, but it just never ends up working out that way in reality.
Right.
The
So
circumstances.
just because it's there doesn't mean that it's going to happen. The possibilities are there, but the chances of it happening are very low compared to the chances of things happening in the modular world are very high. Even though the way the possibilities might be even less. It's quite an amazing situation actually. So let's get back in there. I wanted to add a few things. So I'm going to take another output out of here and use a gate this time. So I got that plugged in. And the gate
It
now.
looks like, oh yeah, we're back. Sorry.
Sorry, are we there? All good?
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that we're back on the scene, but it looks like we're all set.
All right, so I have now a gate going, and that gate is going to go into my to this device that I have here, which I want to wire up first with sound, which is this output here, and I'm going to set that to another channel coming into here. And this is good because I have a trigger, so I can trigger that sound. So basically, this is a percussion module that I can get going. In this case, I'm going to add another channel to this and drop in one of these CV instruments. And in this case, I really don't need the pitch to do anything. I want, because it really just needs just a trigger. It just needs a pulse. It just needs that gate. So I'm just going to get that gate output out of output 4, which is I think what we're using right now. Yeah, and then we'll see what happens. So I'll try to write in a note here and see if that plays out of output 4. So we haven't actually set the trigger up yet, but the trigger is here. Ah, there we are. So I could write a pattern here. Lower that a little bit. And while we're at it, I wanna set up some delay. Actually, I have a little reverb device here. So I'm gonna set out a little bit of reverb to come in here. So I'm gonna do that via. So I'm just patching it into my board here. Hopefully. Whoa, that was crazy. A lot of feedback going on there. Apparently I'm sending it to itself. Somehow. So let's see. Yeah, I had it in the wrong place, I think. Let's see if I can get some. There we go. There's quite a lot of reverb in there. Okay, now we got that going. So what else can we do? Let's see. let's go back to the. And again, I'm just having the kick drum coming from this guy, from Bitwig, and everything else is being done by. Well, all the sounds are being generated here in our rack, and all our programming is done in our DAW, which is quite amazing because we could write out a whole song. One of the limitations about sequencing with a DAW is the fact that you really end up using very limited sequencing power, meaning that you have 1 bar, 2 bar, 4 bar, 8 bar max. With a DAW, you could go and sequence it all the way across a whole song, which is very different than what you usually have to deal with. Let's see if we can get one more thing going. I'm gonna get one more channel here, and I'm gonna get that channel to do the same thing with one of these parameters here on my pitch device. On my percussion device. So once again, I'll need another CV out, and I'll just use that. And I don't know what happened here. Okay, we are in the right place. And let's make sure that out comes out of 5, I believe. Yeah, that'll be it. And now let's just quickly already get that LFO in there. So, we could use a lot of different things, but let's use a classic LFO this time. And that classic LFO is already moving and going, and I'll get that movement happening already. And that should. So I'm gonna just deal with this channel here, and that output. Now we can try to get things going in it. See how that changed that sound? Let's see how that changed. See, this is amazing. You get these sounds that come out of nowhere. Let's try this one. Let's try this one. And if you're not afraid to experiment and turn knobs and plug things in, you can plug things in where you're not even supposed to plug things in. And look at how great things come out. That's already sounding very tasty. And that's the thing, out of modular, you get such tasty sound. On trying. What's this one gonna do? It's like a noise generator. It's the mix to the noise generator. Let's try that one. I don't know what that did. Once again, all these happy accidents. Let's just turn both of these, all these knobs on my hands. Amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's just so quick, so instant, so in your face. I love it. All right, let's give this sound a break, and let's see how we doing, Thomas.
Doing good, man. I'm just sitting back in awe of what we just experienced there. That was pretty intense.
So yeah, this something like this is Expert Sleepers is quite amazing. Now. We can, use the outputs of this to generate, the CV and gate as we have been doing. But we could also imagine like splitting these things. So if I have the notes that are coming in to here via this CV here, I could actually run it into like one of these guys over here. This is just an expander, and this cable is not going to reach. But if I could click it into like one of these buttons, not buttons, but these points here, and pop it in there, then the rest of these other points under it is going to just expand the same CV. That means I could run the control voltage to this, and if I had a few other oscillators, those oscillators could also have the same notes coming into it, or the same type of control coming into it. Other than that, I could have other things like LFOs built into, like this radar is really great because I could use this as an envelope generator or a repeating sort of envelope generator, which is the nature of what an LFO is, and get that going. But yeah, we're really we can really have a lot of fun with CV and gate and digital, if you will.
Definitely. And I have a question that just came to mind. So when you're kind of talking about this small hardware setup you got going on, and you have one oscillator you had mentioned, how much kind of capability is that going to give you? And would you say that this setup is limiting, or it's more of kind of like a beginner setup? Like if somebody was trying to replicate a similar thing, would you say that this size rack is good, or these kind of components, or how would you recommend them going about that?
Well, this is, depending on who you talk to, this might be an advanced setup, or
Mhm.
some people might consider this a beginner setup. I don't think it's either. I think it's a very, I love this rack. I pieced it together with a bunch of modules I had available to me, and it is definitely not a beginner rack in the sense that it's filled up and it has all these different types of. I wanted to make a small rack that I could have a lot of different types of components in there that would let me kind of take it with me so that I can go teach somewhere or sit under a tree with it or whatever and make some sound with. So I have a percussion module in there. I have an oscillator for a synth voice that actually has a sub oscillator built in, so I get a pretty fat, thick thing going on with cross modulation. Also, I have a sampler in here, this Morphogene sampler, which is pretty sick. And plus,
Yep.
this little SD card has like tons and tons of samples that I've taken, that I've created and dropped in there, and that will go a long way once I get that going into the mix here. And then I have this resonator bank, which is amazing um, for ambient or like drones and stuff like that. I mean, this resonator bank is. Let's patch that in quickly. Need more patch cables. Do so, but let's do it. Let's just get some of these guys. We have a couple of minutes left, so might as well just show off a little bit of the rack. So this would be the out of the resonator bank, I guess, and this we can go into another channel. And there is the resonator bank, 6 resonators, which you can pick and add some. I can even add some reverb to that and make it a little more towards noise. And with this stuff, remember there's 6 resonators kind of set up on the harmonic series, but you could do all sorts of different type of chord setups in here. Say we do that. Now I could go through the different harmonics. And that is crazy because then you can add in your whatever you're doing. I'm not sure this is going to match, but that kick drum in there. Let's open up that kick drum a little bit. Let's open up the decay. Actually even add some. Well, let's leave that the way it is, and let's bring in these guys. Shorten the decay. Change the filter. And we have that other part that we had. So lots of really cool, tasty things happening in like no time, coming from. Let's bring these guys out. Coming from just a few devices in here. I mean, I could always wish for more devices. I mean, it's great. I have 3 filters in here, which only using 1 right now. We're not using the sampler yet, even, so that could be in another channel. And I have a couple of channels left to be to be working with. But altogether, it's a nice little advanced setup for those that might be looking to put one together. I'd say start with an idea in mind. As what you'd want to have in a rack and what you're trying to build, and then start putting it together. Yeah, it's a road
Really
that we
cool.
started on. Anyway, we're kind of getting towards the end of our time here. Once again, my camera situation is a little weird, but let me see if I can get myself at least a little bit in there. Here we are. I don't know. Hey, we have technical difficulties every week when we do these shows, and last night I spent a lot of time kind of preparing, and I was like, yeah, it's all perfect. Let me just leave it like that, and I'll just go to bed. And came back in here at 12:30 trying to get things going, and had several issues that just came out of nowhere. These gremlins were just like, I don't know, out to get us. But we somehow made it through the show, and I think the ideas that I wanted to bring across to you guys with modular and the way that it kind of matches up to Bitwig, this is clear to you guys now. So if you guys are wondering, hey, I love hardware and I would love a DAW that would get me, to do all the things that DAWs do, I think Bitwig is the one, if you ask me. Bitwig isn't my favorite DAW. Anyway, I think that's all the time we have for today. Do we have any more last announcements, Thomas, before we go?
No, I think you summed it up pretty good. Thanks everybody. We're lucky to have a pretty loyal fan base to the show and also to the entire series. So thanks for sticking with us through any the technical stuff. But be sure to tune in for more shows next week. And of course, don't forget to take advantage of that summer sale that we're running on our courses right now. That's all those online courses. So we're gonna have plenty of stuff and plenty of learning for you guys to be doing if that's how you want to spend a bit of your summer. Otherwise, be sure to tune back in and stay connected with us on social media and YouTube for all these streams going forward.
All right, all right. So with that, I guess we could start saying goodbye for today. Um, Let me just let you guys know. I believe we'll be back next week, right, Thomas? Is that our plan?
That's correct. We're gonna have a new title to maybe a bit of a different show, but we should be back same
I
time,
mean, we're not
same
going to
place.
stop altogether with Bitwig, but we're going to expand, and maybe we're going to expand in the direction that you might have saw today, meaning in the hardware direction. Actually, I think that's exactly
Yep.
what's happening. I'm going to take I'm going to
Cool.
take the show in a more of a hardware direction. So all the hardware that you see around here, we're going to just be exploring the hardware and seeing what things are. But more to come when it comes to announcements. But for now, let's just say goodbye, and I guess we could see you next week.
See you, everybody.